Hey, what up, Dota Land? We're back just after about 15 minutes, give or take, of our D2L broadcast. Just saw Team Liquid get past Fnatic and looked very good in a best-of-3 series. But now moving on to Reported. This is our second iteration of the show. Hopefully we made some improvements from last week. We will have two guests on. It'll be Fogged, of course, and it'll be Mason joining us, which is an interview a lot of folks are really looking forward to. For now, though, just myself and, of course, to my left, Charlie. Charlie, how you doing, brother?
Hi. Doing good.
Can we get the energy level up a little bit?
I'm not an energy. I'm not you, dude. I can't like.
Got to project. But anyway, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about. We will be doing our weekly rundown, of course, of everything that's been happening in Dota. A lot to talk about. Demon getting his own personal sponsorship. All the tournaments are beginning to really take shape now. We're getting an idea of who's going to be where. But yeah, and for you personally, probably one of the biggest pieces of news, and it's not really so much news as it is a transition back. EG looked really good with Mason playing his full-time stand-in, and now Fear, as I understand, and you've actually been kind of tending to that as his manager, making sure he recovers a bit. But he's going to be back in action coming up, right?
Pretty much start scrimming tomorrow.
Do you know who you're scrimming? Can't talk?
Not going to say.
All right. So super secret stuff coming out from Charlie, but what do you think that's going to be like? I mean, again, you work very intimately with these guys, and Mason was phenomenal. I mean, he's earned an entire fan base, but transitioning Fear back into that.
It'll be good. I mean, Mason was absolutely exceptional.
Oh, yeah.
He was pretty much the perfect stand-in for us. He was incredibly skilled, worked really well with everybody. When he made mistakes, he admitted them.
Right.
And I think any team is going to be lucky to have him.
Yep. Well, that brings up an interesting point. It's something we're going to have to address in the interview with him is, what are his plans? I mean, obviously, he made an impression. He made a very big splash in his time.
He did.
But he said, he's been on record as saying that he's not super interested in just getting on a team to get on a team. It's only going to be if it's a really nice situation for him personally.
I mean, I guess we'll hear more when
we have him on. Well, we've got the weekly rundown coming up in just a minute. Don't forget as well, aside from Mason, we're actually going to be having Fogged on first as our first guest. And there's some things to talk about there too. And people are beginning to notice with Sigma and Team Dog. And I actually was casting most of the day when people started to really discuss it in depth. But you're beginning to see basically, like, what was it? Sigma playing with 3 players from Dog today? I think that took place.
It's Dogma now.
Dogma?
Dogma, so yeah, more or less.
Is like that official? I honestly haven't had a chance to check, or is that just speculation?
So I mean, it's what is official? Dog was never really an official team, but I think everyone can pretty much surmise now that Dog will be Pycat, Misery, MSS, Vada, and Haas.
Yep.
And Sigma's left with 2 missing. So we'll see what happens with that.
What do you think of that composition as it stands?
I think it's good.
Think it's good?
I think it has a lot of potential. We'll see where they go. Dog did take a game off of Empire today.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, it's a little too early to tell how everyone's going to mesh. I think the TI4 qualifiers for Europe are going to be really heated.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we'll talk more about that, and we'll have a chance to talk to Fogged as well when we have him on as our guest coming up in just a moment. But yeah, before that, we've got our weekly rundown. So if we can get music cued, and we'll try to cover pretty much everything that's been going on in the wide world of Dota. Starting off, the field for the Star Ladder Finals in Kiev on the 17th through the 20th of this month is set with 4 teams from Europe, 2 from China and 1 from the US, as well as 1 from Korea. Group A will be composed of Invictus Gaming, Empire, Alliance, and Evil Geniuses, while Group B will feature Team DK, Navi, Roxkas, MVP, and Phoenix. What's your take on it?
I feel sorry for MVP Phoenix. But, I mean, every team there is going to be really hard to beat. It's going to, like, getting out of your group is going to be pretty tough.
Right.
I mean, it's so strong. Like, it's unfortunate that Cloud9 didn't make it. I mean, I think they could have competed with any of those teams there.
Right.
But only room for 4. Oh man, that's a star-studded roster.
Yeah.
I really, it's really hard to make predictions.
Oh yeah.
So many of these teams are so different at LAN. Like, some of them are just LAN monsters.
Yep, I agree.
I think online performance is gonna be. It's hard to judge from online performance.
Roxkas, in a sentence, what are their chances?
Rock's Kiss.
See, Roxas always intrigues me because of Gold Black.
I think I'm a big fan of Rock's Kiss. I like them a lot, but I think some of these teams are a little deeper, a little more experienced. I'm going to put them in the bottom 4.
Bottom 4, statement from Charlie. Moving on, Dreamhack Bucharest is coming up soon as well. It's another big LAN scheduled for this month, and will be taking place coming up very, very soon. That'll be the 26th or the 27th. Only 4 teams have been invited into the field, but they're as good a 4 as you could ask for with Na'Vi, Alliance, Fnatic, and Cloud9. I actually am intrigued by this event because I think it's going to be a hell of a proving ground for Alliance and Na'Vi, obviously getting a chance to face off once again, and they'll come in the favorites, no doubt about it. Cloud9, I think, though, has been showing consistently just how strong they are as a team. What's your take? I mean, in Fnatic, they need to kind of get going soon. The international's close.
All of these teams have a lot to prove at this event.
Yep, they do.
Cloud9, it's their first event with Bone 7, and they're gonna need to. Sorry about that. Fire me.
Hashtag.
They're gonna need to really they're gonna need to prove a lot there. It's their first event with Bone 7. Their results have sort of fallen off, and they're not going to be at Star Ladder.
Right.
So this is their chance to say, we can still perform at a big LAN. Fnatic, their results have been a lot worse than their their top 8 finish at TI3. So this is their chance to say, hey, we're still here. We can still compete. Na'Vi, Alliance, they're established, but I think this is also, they haven't shown a lot of great results online recently, and I think this is their chance to say, you still need to be careful. You still need to watch out for us.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think for Na'Vi and Alliance, it's almost old hat. Cloud9 and Fnatic are the 2 that I think have a lot to show, even more so than the other 2. Just because the other 2 have been there and done that on bigger stages before. But I think it's a great proving ground. Speaking of proving ground, how about American soil? The second season of the ADL got underway this week, featuring the best in American Dota, casted by the newly announced High Ground TV casting studio, composed of scene mainstays What Is Hip, Mott, and Coddle Guy. Tournament features a group stage that departs from the norm, fitting the top teams intentionally into Group A together, while semi-pro and amateur teams compose Group B. Play will resume tonight with CMB Esports playing Osiris Gaming at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So actually just kicked off. So sorry guys, we really didn't mean to overrun you this time. But 2 big things. One, I like the fact that they, their field is obviously divided between professional teams and then up and coming teams. And I also like the fact that this is a nice way for High Ground TV. I know all those guys, Call a Guy, Mott, and What Is Hip, of course. Really wish him the best of luck. But what do you think about the format? The fact that you're cramming the better teams all together?
So, I'll shed some light on this. The format is actually really just because of me.
Humble as you are, you're willing to say.
No. I mean, it's also my sort of my fault.
Okay.
So originally, I mean, they wanted to have EG and C9 there.
Right.
Obviously, and they were originally. I mean, our schedule's packed.
Right.
And the prize pool isn't as big to really bring one of the EG or C9 really in and make the players really want to play in that.
Right.
Especially since there are lots of lesser teams there. Mm-hmm. And after playing in MLG TKO and JDL, both the teams were tired of facing up against I guess tier 2 or tier 3.
Yeah. Gotta call it what it is.
Yeah, American teams.
Yep.
And they didn't want to do it. So, I told Sean, who's really great,
awesome
really
guy.
Yeah, amazing.
Awesome guy.
In order to really make this work, they're not going to have to trudge through a bunch of best of 1 group stages against people they don't really want to play against. So Sean, who amazingly, he made this format really to cater to us.
Yeah.
So that we would only have to play as little matches as possible against the better teams. Unfortunately, the schedule didn't work out, and I kind of shafted Sean, so I'm sorry, Sean. Still love you. I hate you, Greg, though. So that's how the format came about.
I think it's interesting. I think it gives people what they want. I casted the first season ADL for a couple of weeks, and then unfortunately the schedule with D2L at that time got berserk, and I had to back out and hand that off to I can't remember who came in. I want to say it was Mott that came in and started casting then. But Sean's a great guy, but it does avoid It does avoid the issue that happened in Season 1, which anytime Team Liquid or EG played someone, why show up? It was just a stomp. Like, every now and then you saw a team push to the limit. And yes, I want to say there was one upset. Like, some team really surprised pro team.
It was Revenge.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, but it makes it more exciting for viewers because competitive games, whether or not it's professional tier games, are always more exciting, I think, for viewership than games that maybe have more talent, like, so far as like a talented team, an extremely high tier team, stomping a lower tier team.
I think it's going to be a lot different this time around.
Right.
I think the favorites are a lot less clear cut.
Yeah.
With EG and C9 gone.
Right.
I mean, there's lots of teams that could give. I mean, I think the favorite right now would either be Liquid or Dog. Especially with Dog's new additions.
Right.
But Revenge has shown a lot of gusto. They've stuck around for a really long time and taken games off here and there, so we'll see what happens with them.
It's just whenever you start using phrases like that, they stuck around, they show gusto, immediately pops to mind pot and bottom back in the day. So these teams that stick together, play together, you can sometimes see them. Sometimes see them come out and do fairly well. So I'm curious why the laughter, because you're a pot and bottom guy?
I managed pot and bottom, but I mean, they were... I think pot and bottom's a different case.
Yeah, they were fun. They were fun back in the day. One of the first, really good teams I had a chance to cast back in the day. Moving on, a tournament that I think is kind of not being noticed as much as maybe it should be is the WVW National Esports Professional League. On the other side of the world, GameFi has quietly announced that tournament, and they started play just a couple of days ago. The tournament is a bracket-style format featuring a surprisingly stacked field of 16 teams, giving it a $10,000 prize pool. The field features Invictus, LGD, CIS, Tongfu, Vici, Hyperglory, and Hyperglory, Newbie, and Dreamtime as direct invites, and then after that, you've got kind of some lower tier teams. But for the most part, that's a lot of talent that you have packed in here. So far, HGT, LGD, Tongfu, and Arinda have moved into the second round, and Beyond the Summit handles all that coverage for it. But I actually haven't had a chance to watch much of it, but with BTS covering it, I'm sure there were plenty of people watching. I still feel like there should be more. There's a lot of talent in that field.
Yeah, there is. I think this is really good for China. Like last year, there were a lot of complaints about there not being enough tournaments, not being enough official games for them to really, for the Chinese teams to really develop, and we're seeing a lot more of this stuff. You saw the Fang Zhou Cup, Fang Yun Cup back in January, and now this. So this is good. It's good. And it's also a chance to give some of the second tier Chinese teams.
Last year, going into the international, and given the result we saw with the Chinese really just not having the presence they thought they would deep in that tournament, I think one way to put it is the West just outgrinded them. The West played in so many tournaments, played on a day-to-day basis at such a high level, and it just got to a point where they literally just brute forced their way to a higher skill level. And I think China, like you said, this helps make up for that a whole hell of a lot. So between here and China, though, we've got the joint Dota League. Toby Wan and company are in the home stretch of their JDL Season 1 playoff stage. Second round, EG will play Nyx Assassins for the chance to meet Team Liquid in the finals of the American Division. Cloud9 will be meeting Roxkis, with the winner advancing to play Empire in the Euro finals, while the Asian finals are already set to be Aero Gaming versus Titan. I hate to admit it, I have watched zero of the JDL, just haven't had time.
I have only watched, the only JDL games I've watched are the ones where my teams are playing in it.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing really. I mean, I expect I might be wearing your shirt right now, but I think you're going to get stomped. I'm sorry.
I completely neglected that you're wearing Mike's shirt, and probably the most popular thing I've done in the last 2 weeks has been a tweet that I sent to Mike just as a joke. And I swear to God, I think 3/4 of the people thought it was dunked on. Dunked on. Took it serious. But yes, shout outs to you. I love you, Mike. Everyone knows that.
Loves your mom, too.
Yes. No, dude, come on. I love his mom, but totally just for the sex, okay? Moving on to the grab bag of topics. See, dude, sometimes you just got to be about the sex. Why does love have to be involved? Demon has been sponsored by Red Bull. North American Dota legend and mercenary for hire Demon, who we saw in action earlier today, found some wings of his own, landing that personal Red Bull sponsorship. Once infamous for unstable play, and he was a fan favorite, but he was a very high risk, high reward. And we were talking earlier, and even talked about the best way to sum it up. And I think it is like you had two parts to the Demon before. You had the parts that made him a fan favorite, or the parts that made him infamous, and the parts that made him popular. And there are the big difference. It's like he's cut down a lot on the things that he was known for that were negative, and now it just allows everything positive about him as a player to shine. And I think it's a great pickup for Red Bull.
This is so deserved for Jimmy.
It is.
Ever since he got the EG boot, I mean, he's turned it around a lot. I mean, his stint with Dignitas, like,
Yep.
When he came to Korea, when he went to...
He's worked hard.
He has worked so hard, and talking to him so much, his mentality is so different.
So different.
So, I mean, he's willing to do whatever it takes, cut out whatever he needs to. Like, this is 100% for him. And he's willing to dial back his ego. He's willing to, like... I mean, the teams that he's played on, I mean, obviously they haven't been his first choice.
Right.
But he's willing to play with whoever, do whatever to just stay in the scene and stay relevant.
Right.
And I think he's really started to reap those rewards.
Yeah. I mean, it shows. He's basically playing full-time with Liquid now. And, you know, there's no way to... No one really knows except probably Team Liquid and Demon. I think we all have a suspicion. I think we all are pretty sure that's how that's going to be. And, you know, we actually had a really interesting conversation about what a Red Bull sponsorship means and the complications that can come with that. But we're going to save that for another segment, as we might, depending on if we have time.
Okay.
We're going to cover that and another thing. But we already discussed it in the intro, but worthwhile to spend some more time on it. Mason's run with EG is done, at least for now, as Fear's set to return. Today marks the day that he's taken off medical leave. He's all set to go. Mason didn't fail to make his mark across his time with EG, though. I mean, he's earned so many fans.
Yeah.
And has, I mean, people who knew North American Dota knew who he was and knew he was a damn good player. Yeah. But the way he was able to just slide into this EG squad impressed everyone, and I have no idea what he wound up at, but you know, again, I've said
it's some ridiculous record.
Yeah,
it's like
his
40
percentage.
It's like 49 and 17.
Yeah, he's got like a 70% win percentage in Pro Dota, which is the best of any active player with 20 or more matches played over the last, say, month or however long his stint was in grand total. But what's it like? And this is kind of me just, you know, you shared your opinion on it before. As a manager, like, is there anything special about like the way you're going to treat sliding Fear back into things, or do you just start to just go back to status quo, things as they were?
In terms of in terms of play, it's going to be. I mean, we're going to see. First scrim is tomorrow. We'll see how everything fits together again,
right?
And then we'll go from there. During the time Mason was standing in, Fear was always in the back listening. And he was still with the team.
Right.
So I don't think there's going to be too much of a change in dynamic. And
finally, to round out the news, two rosters, lots of questions, one team at the center of it, and this is kind of what it was coming down to. What's going on with Dogma, or whatever you want to call it? Observant players and viewers have been noticing some oddities lately, none of which particularly bode well for the stability of Team Dog and Sigma. Past few weeks, mid-player, Phaeton, etc., we already kind of covered that. Yeah. A lot of stuff. You know, a lot of changes up there. Let's just take a minute instead of me continuing to read off what everyone seems to know, which is there's definitely going to be a merging or some kind of disbandment or something. It's going to see players from both Dog and Sigma most likely wind up on the same squad together. How strong do you think that squad's going to be? I mean, how much of a contender are they realistically going to be with only a handful of months until TI?
Potentially pretty strong.
Really?
I think Fada's a great mid player.
He's amazing.
Yep. And I mean, obviously, with the addition of Fada and Pos, this means the removal of Fogs and Smuglig.
Right.
Really, I think only PyCat Misery and MSS can really say how strong they're going to be. Mm-hmm. They made this decision. They're in the best position to judge how it's going to go. If they felt like it wasn't working with the other two players,
right,
then who are we to judge, really?
Right, exactly. And, you know, it's these late game roster shifts, especially with tournament season coming up, things are going to get so busy. And a question that occurs to me is a lot of, you know, even our tournament, the Western Challenge, we have to schedule around the big lands that are coming up and their qualifiers. Right. How's that going to work so far as them either getting into qualifiers or even being able to find scrims to practice? Like, what kind of challenge is that going to be?
I don't think they'll have a problem finding scrims.
Okay.
Sigma might.
Yeah.
Because they're losing two players and who knows who else they're going to get.
Right.
As for Dog, I think they'll just, I mean, they're still being invited to tournaments.
Right.
They took Sigma's place in WPC. Mm-hmm. I think they'll most likely continue to take Sigma's places in other tournaments and other events.
We'll find out. Looking ahead, that's it for Round the World, and we're going to be moving on right to our interview segment. For those just tuning in, once again, this is Reported, our weekly talk show. Still continuing to play around with us, so please feel free to tweet at us, and of course pop into the Reddit thread and all that. Give us feedback. Trolling if you want, that's fine. We've seen most of it. It's okay. But anything we can do better, do more of, do less of, please let us know. And we're going to be trying to get Fogged on the line right now. We're going to have Mason coming up next, so make sure you stick around for that. But we'll be right back with an interview with Fogged in just a moment. Stick with us. And we're back. And just took a couple of minutes. Want to make sure we got everything set up. Like I said, still kind of playing with the transitions and everything else. So thanks for your patience. And this is Reported, once again, our D2L talk show taking place every Thursday, at least as scheduled right now, and taking place in the late night, tonight at the very least. Want to welcome in our first call-in guest. It will be a man known as Fogged, and you should know him if you keep up with Dota. Hellaciously good support player. And yeah, we got a lot of questions for you, Giannis, but first and foremost, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello, good to be here.
All right, hopefully everyone's hearing him nice and clear. Yeah, thumbs up from the production guys. So we'll get things started with something we've already spoken a little bit about the show. There seems to be some turmoil surrounding Dog and Sigma. Fata's playing for Dog, and honestly, you're not lately. So roster shift speculations, are they just that, just speculation, or is there something to it all? Like, where do you fit into it?
Well, I got booted. So
Okay.
that's just about it. I mean, I've kind of had a lot of real life complications and stuff, so I've been pretty distracted. I haven't really been able to concentrate too much on just Dota and everything. So,
yep. And
pretty sure what they're going to be doing is picking up those two guys that they did announce and everything. So they should be able to play pretty strong with them because, I mean, Fada's a great player. Paz has done really well in the past too, especially the way he synergizes with Fada. So,
how did all this come about? Was it something that blindsided you, or could you tell things were kind of starting to crack and there was going to be a change coming up soon?
Well, we'd been doing pretty decent until like the week or like 4 or 5 days before I got booted from the team. Like when we played versus EG and Liquid in those 2 days back to back, and we'd been playing pretty good. But I hadn't really been able to practice, and I hadn't really been able to sleep or anything because of complications that I've had in my house. So I don't know. It seemed like there was a little bit of, I don't know what the word I would really say is, but there was some lack of communication, I guess, between all of us, and
Right.
they were kind of, I could feel that they were kind of like ignoring me because it seemed like they were, I guess, pissed at me because I couldn't practice or something. So I don't really blame them because I was really distracted. And then I guess on Monday when we lost to EG, and then the next day when we lost to Liquid because I couldn't practice right afterwards, I got booted.
Any follow up to that, Charlie?
I don't know. That sucks. I mean, I talked to you about this before. This is really weird because I can hear myself. But anyways, no, that sucks.
Take your headphones out and talk if you have to. There you go.
No, it's fine.
But I mean, it happens though. Like, I don't really blame them, and I'm not even like mad at them. I just wish that I'd known a little bit ahead of time, just because I would like, I don't know. I honestly, I've been so busy with everything that's been going on. My mind is more than preoccupied, so I don't blame them at all. And I don't know. I still wish them luck.
Yeah, there you go. Very kind words from you to them. What's it like dealing with the internal politics that are inherent to a team that's lacking a contract? You know, it's obviously a little different when you've got 5 players that are all signed to a major sponsor, a major organization. But whenever you're trying to put a team together like that, where the only thing that's really holding them together is their own commitment to each other, like from a leadership role and just from the role of a player, like what's it like trying to manage all of that, the internal egos and of course, like I said, the internal politics that comes along with it?
I mean, it's not really any different, I don't think, unless like there's people really having serious problems with anyone. Mostly we would just talk everything over and just figure things out together. I mean, we had been talking about like Smoke playing a little bit weak because of course he was new into the scene. He hadn't really played too much in the competitive scene at all. So we didn't expect the best results from him. But then I guess like, I don't know, everything was working pretty well until until that last week basically. And then I missed a couple of days of practice, and then I mean, it's basically it's kind of like the same thing, honestly. It's just based off how you perform throughout the weeks. Our practices have been going well, but it's been hard to find scrims, and then like, it's just based off like however you play, because Dota is a very like, quick paced. Even their team that's doing well together, if they lose a lot of games back to back, they can end up just disbanding or wanting to like switch things around because people get frustrated.
You gotta write a blog about it.
I'll write a blog about it, yeah.
Shots fired, just a little bit. But, I mean, concerning, what's the biggest misconception you think that people have about being a part of a professional team? And this is something I'm going to end up tossing out to pretty much every guest we have that's a pro player, because, you know, whenever you talk about the relationships of fans to their players and stuff, like, you know, you come on and you say, well, I got booted and, you know, there was this issue, that issue, we had all these problems. I think it tends to kind of shock people at how quickly it can begin and how quickly it can end. So not just on that topic, but on any topic in general. What do you think is the biggest misconception that's held by fans and viewers as to what it's like to be a professional on a professional caliber team?
Biggest misconception? Mm-hmm. As a viewer, from viewers, dude, I have no idea. The way that the Dota community, the way it is, that's like it's really hard to answer because people look at everything completely differently.
Right.
So I mean,
would you just say that they're wrong about everything?
Yeah, basically, I mean,
because that's what I think.
No one's right.
They don't know anything they're talking about. So I guess basically just saying that the scenario that you're dealing with when you're playing with, like, I mean, being a professional player and playing with all these other players, it has nothing to do with what anybody really thinks the way it is. It's just basically, if you're playing well, if you guys get along together, and yeah, you just need to have good synergy. And if it's not there, then of course you're gonna want changes.
Now, if you had two sentences to correct, if you had 2 sentences to correct the vast majority of the viewership, or to sum up what it's like to be on a pro team and just get them thinking along the right mindset, what would they be?
Just play your best, honestly. Just like, you can't have even if you're scrimming, you can't take it as just a scrim. You have to just take everything seriously. And if you start letting down, if you start like taking things as a joke, that's when and thinking that you're better than other people, that's when your risk of losing your chance is. You want to just always take things seriously and always, play your best, really.
So you've been a part of the competitive scene for a long time, and you and I have had a number of personal conversations. You know, we spent some time together, hung out at TI3, and of course you joined me at South by Southwest. You've been through a lot in terms of trying to make it as a professional player. You've certainly been on the big stage. You've played on the biggest stages you can imagine. Based on those experiences, what do you see is the most valuable insight or perspective or whatever else that a professional player or a would-be professional player would need to take in order to crack into the pro scene the way you did? And even, again, just your journey and including this next step. Like you said, your latest team gave you the boot. Like, where do you go from here? And what would you say to everyone who wants to try and follow in your footsteps?
Well, I mean, it's trying as hard as you can and taking it seriously. It's not a game at that point. When you want to play competitively, you have to take it very seriously. It's basically a job. I mean, some people do still have jobs on the side as well as playing Dota, but it's very hard to not just fully dedicate yourself to Dota. So you really just want to immerse yourself completely in Dota. And if you're not a professional player and you're looking to actually want to get into the scene, it's basically just talking to people, connections and just knowing who to talk to, and then just playing well and really fiending. I mean, last year people were just starting to know Arteezy.
Right.
And Arteezy, out of nowhere, basically, he just started playing so much, and he would fiend 1v1s and talking to the proper people, and he honestly just started kicking a lot of ass, and that's why people, I mean, now they're surrounding him because, of course, he's such a great player. So it's really just, pursuing. If you really want to play, you're going to dedicate all your time to it as much as possible.
Good insight. And see, that's one of the most requested things I think I get, and I even talk about it with Charlie sometimes, is there's so many people that love the game and want to be a part of the scene and have the skill. It's just a question of how you crack in. Like, anything you want to add to that, or any direction you want to go to expand upon it?
I mean, I think a lot of people do want to get it in. And
You need to take those out while you talk. If you're hearing an echo, dude, it's impossible, I'm telling you.
No, I got this.
Okay.
So, I think one of the more interesting questions when people ask, oh my God.
For those who have no idea what's happening, he's not having a stroke. He's too stubborn.
Right.
What's happening is, if you've ever seen videos of it, it's like whenever you hear yourself and monitoring and it's coming at a very slight delay, it screws with your brain. So he's not having a stroke. He's actually just stubborn.
I got it. Okay, so
there you go.
One of the
You guys are making this
when
hard
people
for me.
ask, how do you break into the pro scene?
Uh-huh.
I think one of the more interesting questions is to ask, or no, one of the more honest things to ask is, are you good enough to break into the pro scene? Because, I mean, I get that question a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really one way to, I mean, there's one primary thing that you have to do, is you have to be good at Dota.
Yeah.
And so the question I want to throw back is, evaluate yourself. Are you good enough?
That's fair.
Okay, I'm putting these back in now.
Go for it, Fogged.
What happened? What am I?
Oh,
What was I saying?
didn't even hear. Are you good at Dota, is what Charlie just asked. He just took about 300 words to ask if you're good at Dota.
I'm not asking you if you're good. I
He
mean,
said
in
evaluate
general.
yourself.
Fuck you, I know you're
Evaluate
good.
yourself.
No, it's true. I mean, you really want. I mean, yeah, you can tell if you're a good player and if you're not a good player. So, like, yeah, I don't know how else to say that.
Next question.
You really do need to just be good. But even if you do want to dedicate the time, of course, yeah, you need to be good.
Couple more, then we'll wind up and look to jump to Mason for a second interview. But at this point, you've had a chance to not only play some high-level Dota, but cast some very high-level Dota. You casted with me. I know you've spent time casting with Toby Wan. Pretty sure you've casted with BTS a fair amount as well. How does that rank in terms of how it might fit into your grander plan? Like, when you look at esports, is it something you only want to really be a part of the industry as a player, or would you eventually look to transition into a full-time role as something else, a manager, a caster? Again, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Or is this something that right now you don't even want to consider that? You just want to look ahead and focus on your career as a player?
I mean, I don't know. Like I was saying before, I do have a lot of family issues concerning me right now, so I'm not really thinking too much about that. But just to kind of talk about it, I guess I still want to play, but I probably will try to shoot for just casting in the near future, and then maybe just switch back to playing afterwards. But I haven't really even thought about, like, managing or anything, or coaching or blah, blah, blah. But I guess, of course, that could always be an option, because I do want to stick with Dota as long as possible, because unfortunately I love this piece of shit game.
As do we all.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I love the game, and I just want to stay in it as long as I really can. Because I don't know, it's just so damn entertaining to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, the community is kind of addictive, too. And I think you've got one last question to send him out the door.
Are you ever going to give me my pants back?
And
Dude, they're here.
You've had my pants for like 6 months.
See you in Seattle.
It's not even on me. They would be gone if it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
you
but
should be thanking me.
You could have given them to me in Austin.
That's...
My question is, how does one wind up with pants that need retrieved?
He left them in the hotel room.
It was your hotel room. It was after hours.
Story.
You were drinking. I understand mistakes were made, but how have you not gotten them?
You know how it goes. It was your fault. You're the one who brought all the drinks that night.
Oh, was that me? Did I do that? Sorry. All right, Fogg. It's been a pleasure, man. Thanks so much for being on. We hope to have you on in the future. Best of luck and all of our love and all of our best wishes, of course, regarding what's going on with your family. So hope everything's good in that department.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Shout out to Daniela and to nobody else.
Wow.
My fans, I guess. My fans, I guess, and Charlie.
There you go. Shout outs to Charlie, Daniela, and his fans, and nobody else. That was once again Fogged. And yeah, man, it's I think Fogg's in an interesting place right now. He's got to decide where he's going to go, and so often you see this with other players and personalities. You reach a certain point where it's like, okay, now he's having to start from scratch. Like he tried to build a team, didn't work out. Now what does he do? Does he wait for post TI4? Does he try to maybe make it onto a last-minute squad, or does he focus on again the other aspects of the esports that he can do, casting, etc.?
I think because I know the background on this, I think he needs to sort out the issues with his family.
Okay.
Make sure that all of that is set and taken care of. Like all the issues that he's had with that, he removes himself with it,
Yep.
and then from there he decides where can he go, what does he want to do.
Well, once again, that was Fogg. Make sure you check him out on Twitter, by the way. Didn't give him a chance to plug himself properly. I don't know if he's been streaming. He's been saying forever he's going to start streaming.
No,
That hasn't had time.
he's been saying that he's going to stream for like
A year.
a year and a half
Yeah.
now. Fucking liar.
Yeah. But we'll be right back, by the way. We're going to have our second interview coming up. We're going to be asking Mason about his time with EG and perhaps about hentai. Just stick with us. We'll be right back. Find out how that goes. And we're back, and we've got Mason on the line this time. For those who have been living under a rock, the guy has looked phenomenal in his time with EG, racking up something near a 70% win percentage over the last few weeks, and might even be further. How long did Mason play with EG? About a month?
About a month?
Yeah, so over the last 4 weeks has won like 70% of Pro Dota matches, which isn't too bad given it's the highest among all active players. But we could talk enough about him. How about we actually talk to him? Mason, my friend, welcome on.
Hey, thanks for having me. And if you guys want to, after the show, rehost the call and jerk off, let me know. I'm down.
All right. That's so long as I can have dibs on pivot, we'll see what we can do. It's a tight schedule here, but we'll see what we can make happen. So let's just start off and get going really quickly. You stated multiple times that you've never been all about seeking a pro career at any cost. It's much more based on a good situation for you. Given your first major appearance was with EG, what about the team and that situation really made it the right fit? I mean, we know that you're friends with basically everyone on the team, but was it more than that, or just hell, you just want to play some pro Dota and just want to do with some guys you like?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm friends with everyone on EG, like you said. Mm-hmm. And really, that's it. You know, they're a relaxed group of people. They're nice. They're just fun to play with. And that's all I look for in Pro Dota. You know, like I said in the interview before, I don't want to play just to play. I want to play with people I like, you know?
Right. What is it about the guys? I mean, outside of is it just personality, or do you like the way they play, or the way they approach the game, or what?
Yeah, I just like them. They're all really easygoing. Even PPD, like, when the game's online and everything, you know, he tenses up, but they're all really relaxed and just fun to hang around with.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch you guys, for sure. So, making that transition, going from high-level pub play to high-level professional play, what was it like to adapt to that professional environment in competitive Dota?
Honestly, for me, just skipping some classes. Charlie tried his best, but unfortunately, I had to skip some classes for scrims and some matches. But honestly, there's really nothing to adapt to. I played in some in-house leagues with them, and that's kind of like a semi-competitive environment. You pick up a lot of competitive tips, and you notice things, drafts, players, heroes, and all that. So yeah, just playing in in-house leagues, not really much to adapt or switch over.
Right.
It's a pretty easy transition.
That's interesting. And like, so far as scheduling, how was that? And getting him to adapt to that kind of regiment?
I wake up earlier than 10 a.m. or wherever it was every day, so
Nice.
wasn't a big deal. So yeah.
I was actually directing that at Charlie, who is the whip cracker.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's all right. I mean, a lot of the schedule was set before we decided that Mason was going to come on, so it was more adapted to Clinton's schedule. So that was a little rough, and Mason did have to skip some classes, and for that I'm sorry, and thanks to Mason.
Yeah, fuck you.
There you go. Much love between these two. One of the most commonly asked questions is, and I kind of covered this with Fog too, but I'd love to hear your take on it. Outside of blind luck, how does a competitive-minded player go about getting noticed and getting a shot in the for a pro roster? And what was that path like for you?
Easiest way to get noticed outside of being lucky is to just be vocal and have a presence. Like I post on Dota a lot, and like Fog said earlier, social networking. You know, just talking to people, adding them on Steam, chatting with them, doing all that good stuff. Yeah, and playing in in-house leagues really help. That's where you really get noticed. But unfortunately, ranked MM is so popular now; it's pretty much killed all the in-house leagues. So I don't know how legit ranked MM is. You know, you have Phoenix, Terrorblade, all that good shit. But yeah, I don't know anymore. It was in-house leagues and social networking, but now, I guess just adding people and talking to them.
Yeah, it's Charlie and I were actually having a conversation a while ago about how in-house leagues have kind of died. I honestly think there might be room for them to make a comeback sometime in the near future. But would you agree with that, or you think they're just kind of? Do you think? Let me put it this way: you think matchmaking is a way to try to practice at a competitive level is just the current wave, or do you think there will be a fallback to the style that got you noticed?
Can you ask the question again? I wasn't really paying attention. Sorry.
It's all right. It happens. A lot of people tune me out whenever I talk to. In-house leagues, you think they'll make a comeback? Charlie and I had talked about it before, and we both think there might be potential for it.
I think there's a decent chance they'll come back, but it's gonna be a long way down the road. I think. I don't think it's anytime soon. I don't know, maybe like 4 months at least. Mm-hmm. You know, I think ranked MM just needs people need to get tired of it, and I don't think they'll tired of it anytime soon. So yeah, down the road.
What about you, Charlie? What do you think?
I mean, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they're optimum? Do you think they're better than ranked?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you don't have Terrorblade, Phoenix, stuff like that. You don't have like random pubs that won't work with you or do whatever. It's easier in an in-house league. I'm turning this shit off. It's easier in an in-house league when it's captain's mode. You can work with your team a little more. You have a little more direction in what you want to go, what you want to do. And it also builds friendships and connections. Whereas, like, if you go into rank matchmaking and there's this guy on your team and he goes fucking quelling Blade Nick's assassin and goes to your off lane and tries to steal your CS.
Right. Just awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're kind of on the outside looking in by design, Mason. I mean, you said in your last interview with EG that you've been approached a lot. A lot of people are trying to get you onto a team, and you're just not into that unless it's the exact right situation. But since you're on the outside looking in, and it is by your own choice, what, from where you sit now, having spent a lot of time playing for a professional team, do you think the Dota scene, as well as the esports industry as a whole, what do you think we do right, and what do you think we do wrong?
Okay, I'll start with what you guys do wrong. There's just oversaturation of content. Yep. I don't think there should be so many tournaments, so many shows. I think it should be a lot more streamlined. Mm-hmm. Hold on a second.
Yep, looks like Mason has something going on in the background, so hopefully he'll be back in a minute. I actually agree with him so far with the point he's made, and we've even talked about it. It's like, the issue is it's still the Wild West, and it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because when you approach like streamlining, like you said, content and the big number of big tournaments and all this, you can only work together so much. But whenever you have events like Dreamhack, like MLG, whenever you have like the D2L and all of these other tournament organizations that want to do their own thing, the only option so far as either taking that down and bringing down the level is for everyone to kind of merge into one thing, and everyone, you know, just figures a way out to do that, or top-down control. And it seems like the Dota community is really resistant to that approach.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back.
That's no problem. Go ahead. You can finish your thought. I actually just expanded on it, but please go ahead.
All right. Yeah, there's just too much content, and that sounds like a good thing, but it's actually not. I think there should just be fewer tournaments, bigger prize pools, and just everyone should just try to, I don't know, get along somehow. That everyone wants to produce their own content, so it's whatever. And as far as good goes, I don't know. I like the content that is out. There's a decent amount of it, and I do like it. So I don't know. Things are okay. I don't know.
What we were talking about while you were dealing with whatever it was you had to deal with is, in general, like, I mean, there are only two ways that you can really begin to streamline, the content side of things. Is basically, like you said, you start merging things together. Everyone kind of comes together. Of course, MLG and Dreamhack are always going to be their thing. ESL is going to do their thing. But basically, it takes away the power of smaller organizations to be able to contribute content, like as you said. So you either have to just kind of work together and merge together, which creates less competition, less overall content, or a top-down approach, like you see Blizzard and League of Legends take. And it seems like the Dota community is much resistant to the second option so far as the top-down approach. How do you feel about that? You think a top-down approach would work or should happen? And why do you think the Dota community is so resistant to it?
I don't know. I think both styles work. It's just that I prefer less content and more focus. I know people like different tournaments, like having D2L one day, join Dota tournament or whatever the other day. That works for them. They get to hear different casters, different types of players, different teams.
Right.
So I think it's just a preference thing, honestly. I personally don't like it. Other people do. It's whatever.
Got it. And what about you, Charlie? Because you kind of got cut off in the middle of your thought.
I mean, I think we should have sort of a mix of a top-down approach. I think it's going to be very hard to have like one governing body just organizing everything. I think it's easier if, and we're starting to move towards this direction, where just big tournaments just start to work together and cooperate and communicate better.
Right.
Instead of having this.
But see, that doesn't really, but the big tournaments working together is one thing. That doesn't really address the oversaturation problem because the smaller tournaments are already working around the big events.
Yeah, I just think that if you're going to have smaller tournaments, smaller teams are going to play in it, just bigger teams don't. That's it. I mean, this is the reason I pulled EG and C9 out of the ADO.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it works. Like, I honestly, like, I'm not I feel like we're in a good place for a number of reasons. And honestly, what Dota 2 content reminds me of a little bit now is actually the baseball season. Like, if you watch Major League Baseball, there's always a game on. There's always, it doesn't matter what network it's on. Doesn't matter, what's going on. You can always basically flip through and you treat your streams like channels because, they're almost always going to have content on. But I think there is bonuses, but I think Mason has a lot of merit too in the idea of condensing things down, perhaps being a nice plan for the future. So EG's been the only situation that you've been able to see yourself playing in so far, Mason. Is there any other ones that you could see potentially that you would be willing to slide into much in the same fashion as you have EG, or is that really the only squad that you're at all interested in playing for in the near future?
Yeah, only squad.
Yeah, there you go.
It's short and simple. Only squad.
Very clear cut. And okay, here's an interesting one just from your point of view. Now that you played with EG, and you certainly played well with them, what do you think they as a team do well? And what do you think, honestly, if you look at your experiences over the last month or so, what does the team need to do better to perform well on the lands coming up in the next few weeks and months?
I think their best asset is just their players. They're all really individually skilled. Probably some of the best players I've played with or against. So yeah, that's their best asset. But I think one of their weaknesses is that they don't they like being really active, like the supports. Sometimes they try to do too much and like play too aggressive. Sometimes it's best to just play passive and sit behind your carry or your offlane or your mid. So yeah, I think that's one of their weakest points. But that's kind of a small issue. That's not really big. I think they're gonna do really well at lands. Like I said earlier, I don't think they're gonna skip a beat. I think they're a really strong team. Honestly, if you ask me my opinion on how they do at TI4, I think they do top 4. They're that good.
Wow, that's a statement, and certainly something most of the folks in this office would enjoy seeing. I was actually going to ask about that, but you already answered it for me. So we'll move on to just a couple more questions, my friend. You have any interest in working in other parts of esports, maybe casting, that kind of thing, or you're just a player?
No, not interested in casting. Although I tried my hand at it, it's pretty hard. So yeah, a lot of credit to you. I suck ass at it. It's whatever. And as far as anything other than casting, like coaching, no, I don't think so.
So if someone came up to you and offered you $100 an hour to coach them, would you do it?
it depends. I mean, if we're just talking about like a public game coach, sure, man, whatever. I'll tell you how to hit creeps. Go for it. But if it's like EG or something, no, I don't think so.
All right. And finally, any plans to go to Seattle? You going to TI this year, man?
No, I have no interest in going to a LAN as a spectator or a fan or whatever. I just want to go as a player, so no.
There you go. Any last questions? We kind of covered most of our bases here.
Most of the bases? You don't want to do any
Well,
of
we
these,
can't we can't ask the last one. I was told by Safety and Standards, aka our production guy Conrad, that we should leave off.
No. Is it Conrad? Did you say you couldn't ask
No,
it?
you can do it. You can do
You
it.
do it?
All right, ready?
Yeah, I want to do it.
I'll ask.
Okay.
You asked that one. You asked that one. I'm gonna ask the last one.
No, it's only the last one.
Only the last one.
I can't do the third from last.
Yes, you can.
I can.
Okay, you couldn't relate players on EG to hentai, but if you could relate
No, it was top 5 hentai, wasn't it?
Oh yes,
That's
we were supposed to do both. Yes, that was going to be the second.
You said I
You screwed it up. You screwed it up. All of you. Top 5 hentai. Go. Click. Hang up on him. Actually, I'm the one who called him, so I can't. Oh Christ! What a disaster that was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, seriously though. Mason, top 5 hentai. Go. What's your favorite?
All right.
There we go. Worked that time. So that was Mason Dota. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. See, that was supposed to be the joke. We were supposed to blindside him with that, and then hit end call. We screwed it all up, man. We lost. We lost, Charlie.
Fucking lost.
We lost.
Boys.
But that is Mason, and we have no idea where he'll be playing next. According to him, it'll only be for EG, but make sure you check him out. It's Mason Dota on Twitter, right?
It is.
Yep, check him out on Twitter, at Mason Dota. Check out his VODs over the last month. That was a lot of fun, too. So we're down to the last few moments of the show, guys. We're going to take just one more small break, then we're going to open the lines up to you. You can call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Insult me, tell Charlie that Subway actually is good, whatever you want to do.
You'd be wrong.
Yeah. Give a call. We'll be right back in just a minute. Stick with us. And we're back, guys. We should have somewhere, as we get the overlay along the bottom, I think. If Dave, give you a half a second. See, he's already bitching. 1-415-800-8559. That's 1-415-800-8559 if you want to give us a call. To call in and talk shit or do whatever you want. Talk about your favorite 5 hentai since our joke failed and floundered miserably. So as we wait on the calls to start coming in here, Charlie, looking at Mason's time with EG, and it's one of those things. The question that is begged to be asked is, what happens if Fear comes back and EG starts to slump again? Do Do you think about pulling Mason back on, or is it just ride or die?
I think it's more likely to be ride or die. Like let's say in the event that Fear comes back, they don't do as well. I really dislike making roster choices like that. Fear's proven to be a good player in the past. He's performed well. And if they start slumping, it's just a matter of figuring out why that is so and bringing back the conditions in which they were playing well before.
Awesome. We've got our first caller on the line, Mike. Mike, welcome into Reported. What's on your mind, man?
Hi, man. So I was just on the Twitch chat of this channel, and I kind of had this analogy of comparing Arteezy to a certain musical superstar, in a sense, because I personally think that Arteezy is kind of like Justin Bieber in a way, because he's also kind of the Canadian child prodigy with a lot of talent, but at the same time, people seem to hate him all over the place.
What just happened?
Yeah, it looks like for whatever reason, Charlie's PC died. Basically, he's comparing Arteezy to Justin Bieber, which I think is hilarious. Continue. You want to continue to push the analogy?
No, that's pretty much about it. Honestly, I didn't even expect to get through, so...
Hey, man,
that's basically
you were
all I
quick.
was...
You were quick, but yes.
Well, yeah.
So basically, Arteezy's Bieber is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
Would you agree? Arteezy's Justin Bieber?
Is this because he's Canadian?
Canadian child prodigy, loved by many, hated by many as well. What other reasons did I miss there, Mike?
Shitty taste in music?
Shitty taste in music is apparently...
that as well, obviously. I mean, can't argue.
Yeah?
Yeah, so basically Arteezy's Bieber. Can we get him to tag up as Biebs in
I would rather him not, but...
We'll find it. I think it should happen. Mike, thank you much, man. We're moving on, and thanks for calling in. We'll see you next week, okay?
Yeah.
Next on the line, actually, Charlie. I got to get you back on the call because we got to remake it. But that was, now mute, please. And we are muted, so how about we go ahead and get John on the line? Actually, I can't. He's not calling. We can get Mike on the line, though, so... And hopefully it didn't just die. Mike, are you there, my friend? Mike number 2.
Hello? Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hey.
How you doing, man? Welcome to Reported. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to know what your thoughts on Team Liquid and how they're doing now.
Team Liquid looked very good today, man. Watching them, and granted it was against Fnatic, and they've been slumping. There's no real secret in that. But just the way that they're playing and the way that they're drafting, TC in particular looked really, really good today. And I think one of the biggest criticisms we've had, and I mean the community as a whole, casters, et cetera, is TC has kind of felt irrelevant in the late game of a lot of games. And that really wasn't as much the case here today. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's doing more now. He's using the farm that he has. I think Liquid as a whole is doing a lot better now. Demons really rejuvenated them. I think Way2's working a lot better with Jimmy than he was with Fluff or TC when they tried out that weird TC to support role thing. So doing better. We'll see how they do against more top-tier competition.
Yep, find out, looking ahead. Thanks for the call, Mike, and we'll see you next week. Moving on to our next caller. This will be Tim. Let's see if we can get Tim on the line. Tim, are you there, my friend?
Yes, hey.
Hi, welcome to the call, or welcome to the show, my friend. What can I do for you? What's on your mind?
I just wanted to talk about the mom jokes, and the biggest joke of all is your casting.
No, I tell you what, Tim, that's brave, but there's a big difference. See, I'm actually doing this for a living, and you're calling into my show, which I think tells us everything we need to know about who wins here.
Let's get...
Yep, thanks a ton, Tim. Thumbs up to you, brother. Next on the line is going to be, let's see. Actually, we need more people to call in, so lines are open right now. We had about 20 calls all come in at once. But they ceased calling. The only way I can add him to the call is actually, there we go. We got John coming back onto the line. John, my friend, welcome to the call.
Hey, how's it going?
Going really, really well. What's on your mind, my friend?
I was just wanting to talk about Liquid. I know you guys just touched on this, but how do you guys think the Demon stand-in and also the Snake King stand-in now is doing with the new team?
I'll let you take that one.
I think the Snake King stand-in is not going to be permanent. This is just way too hard to go. Snake stepped in. He was the most convenient person. As far as Demon standing in, they're doing much better with him. Like I said, Jimmy's really good, and he's like a pick-me-upper for the team. What the?
That's all right. Done. Go ahead. Continue.
He's like a pick-me-upper for the team. Like before the old Liquid, when shit hit the fan, there was no one really there to pick up the pieces. And Jimmy is sort of that person now.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's looked phenomenal. Like you said, I think you made about as good an analogy. Like when things kind of start to get crooked, they have a playmaker now. Someone who, especially whenever you see him on like a hero like a Sand King, who could swing it with good movement. Jimmy's
I mean,
really
I was talking about it in terms of the mood of the team.
Yeah.
Like when they get down, Jimmy can pick them up.
Mm-hmm. All right, John, thank you. Go ahead.
I just want to, I'm a big Redditor here. AC, don't take all their shit. You're a great caster, man.
Hey.
Fuck that Tim guy.
Don't worry about it.
Keep on doing it, man.
John, you're awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who supports us. And you know what? Haters are fine. They're going to happen. But in the end, he's tuned into my show. Who's winning?
Yeah.
But thanks anyway, John. And we'll get someone else on the line. But make sure you call in next week, too, okay?
All right. Later, guys.
Later. So once again, John on the line. We're winding down. I think we got time for one more call. So one more call before we close this show out. And make sure, please, before we get ready to finish everything out today, leave us feedback, please. This is still a very early concept. We want to continue to build on it. This week, obviously, much better than last week. It helps that we're not at 8 in the freaking morning. We're not up at some ungodly cow milking hour. But let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna bring on Greg.
Oh God, why?
Because I love Greg. Greg, welcome to the show, man. How you doing, brother?
Fuck you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for mentioning High Ground. We're looking forward to the new season of ADL.
Yep.
Love you, Charlie.
I just want to say that before they were High Ground Studios, they were this shitty, awful name. It was like Dream Coil Studios. Fucking Greg messaged me and he's like, look at our new studio, help us promote this shit. I'm like, your name is awful and you're awful. Why would I?
And you're bad people. I love it, by the way, Greg. I love it so much. I think you guys are great casters and it makes me so happy to see you doing the ADL and to see you guys going. And Charlie can shut up. Just enough.
Me and Charlie have a really special relationship.
That's
Mostly
true.
he flames everyone he talks to, so.
Oh yeah, he flames me to death too. But yeah, I brought you on as a caller, so technically you got to ask a question.
I do have a question. So earlier the caller talked about, or Mason talked about condensing all the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie obviously has a problem with the new, there's so many tournaments going on, there's a lot of schedules. What do you think the solution is? Do you think it needs to be collaboration between tournament organizers, or do you think bigger tournaments will just kind of reign supreme?
You want to go first? Just real quickly, the big tournaments are going to be the big tournaments. Like, you're going to have the international, MLG, Dreamhack, ESL is always going to do something.
You can't even say MLG now because they backed off.
They'll be back. They'll be back.
Is that Bulba? That's Bulba. Okay, we have to take his call later.
All right. Well, very quickly, though. We got to take Sam. We couldn't get on as a freaking guest, but he wants to call in at the end of the show. That's just
what a
classic
shitty
Sam.
fuck.
But anyway, the issue I see is you're going to have these big tournaments and they're going to have qualifiers and all that. But unless you have like consistent content day to day, so long as there's a vacuum, people are going to have money to want to fill it because the viewership is so big and there's such a good return on investment. For companies like HyperX that do our sponsorship and everyone else. I don't know that you can deal with content saturation unless it's very strictly enforced from the top down, and I don't see that as being a positive result or a positive policy for Dota as a game.
I can definitely understand that.
I think the middle ground is probably going to have to be best here. It's just tournaments are going to have to talk to each other and plan better. I think June is a debacle that we don't really want to have again. I think this spring is also really busy. I think it's just going to have to be about people being more open with each other, tournament organizers coming together and say, hey, we're going to do this at this event. Work with me on this. Mm-hmm. That's more or less it.
Yep. So, Greg, I know you're going to PAX East coming up next, right?
I will be. I will be going to PAX East this weekend.
Check out Evolve. Seriously. They're going to Evolve. They're going to have a playable demo. Check it out. That's all I need to say.
I will.
But before you go, man, love you to death. Plug yourself. Where can people find more about High Ground and everything you got going on?
You can find more about our new website and studio at highground.tv and on Twitter at highgroundtv. And you can find me on Twitter at whatisiptv.
There you go. Thanks again, Greg. Make sure you check him out. He's a great guy, and they're doing great work over at High Ground. So last call, and it's technically not a call, but it's going to be Bulba. Bulba, you on the line, man? He hung up. The jerk hung up.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Jimmy wants to be called.
What is this? All of a sudden,
all right.
we can't get these people. We can't beg these people on to be guests. We have to schedule last minute. Now everyone in the world wants on. What's our viewership? It must be high. That's the only reason they would do it now.
All right, how do I add him to this?
Every one of them.
wants to come on, by the way.
Who does?
Kelly.
Hang on. Last one, because I got to get out of here. Sam, you on the call, brother? No, he is not. And why not? There we go. He is not answering, the jerk.
Okay, I'm adding Jimmy.
All right, we're going to have Jimmy on, since we did have a lot of Team Liquid questions. And there we go. Let me call him real quick. Last one. Jimmy, you there, brother? Jimmy, unmute your mic.
Demon?
There he is. What's up, brother?
What's up?
So, how's it going, Mr. Red Bull?
I just woke up, man. I was like watching a show and then I passed out for a little bit, like 5 minutes, and I just woke up right now.
Oh, so what you're saying is our show put you to sleep. Thanks.
I woke up to Tim, dude. It was loud. Oh, it was loud. I don't know what he said. I just kind of did, but then.
Whatever. People flame, but we got you on. You wanted him on. What do you want to ask?
I don't want him. He wanted on. He asked me to come
I don't know what this is.
This is Charlie just goes, I'm going to add Jimmy because we want him on.
No, he spam messaged me. He's like, call me.
We called you. You're on, boss. Take it away. What you got to say?
I'd like to give a shout out to Red Bull for giving me this amazing
Oh my
opportunity.
God. You're done.
You're done.
You're done. We love you. You're done. All right. Ending on that note. Thanks so much for being tuned in to Reported. We'll be back next week on Thursday. Not sure about the time because, hell, we're still figuring it out. Hope you guys had a blast. We don't have a Twitter or anything for Reported yet, but you can check us both out. I'm at EC at AYESEE, and you're Monolith Dota, correct? And make sure you check out the D2L Western Challenge. We're off tomorrow. Two doubleheaders coming up on Saturday and Sunday. Till then, enjoy your evening, morning, or afternoon, and enjoy some Dota.